Let me see if I can do one. Tim Roy. Curry!
He was in his bag last night. I know a lot of people were obviously watching, and they were on Prime last night. But I was driving around like beginning of the fourth quarter. So it was kind of the Warriors. They would make a push, and then the Clippers would they cut it to 3, and then the Clippers would go on a 6-0 run. And it just felt like they were kind of jockeying back and forth, but the Warriors could never really turn the corner. And Tim was right there on every single call. I mean, I know everyone was watching, and I went back and watched the fourth quarter just to get ready for the show. But shout out to Tim Roy. He was really good last night.
Yeah, he was. I listened to the first quarter, and then I had to turn it off because I didn't want to get too far ahead. And then I went home and watched the rest of the game. Great finish. I mean, it was just an absolutely great finish. There's no doubt about it. We're going to miss her tomorrow. She's gone on a little vacation, so no Marcy tomorrow.
Oh, she's going down to Phoenix to watch the Warriors?
No, she's she's going on a trip, a little vacation.
Okay.
By the way,
between you and her.
By the way, I'm all in on the Warriors tomorrow.
Are you?
Yeah.
Was it just because of last night?
No, it has nothing to do with last night. But I will be rooting hard for the Golden State Warriors. Why don't you tell the people why? Because if the Warriors beat the Phoenix Suns tomorrow,
you're one of a kind.
It means the Phoenix Suns are in the lottery.
Don't do that.
And the Wizards have a pick swap with Phoenix if they need it. So if Phoenix loses and they're in the lottery and they somehow jump up, that's going to be conveyed to the Wizards now.
Wow.
You are something else, man. Always eyes on the prize.
Also, last night, big beneficiary, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who own the Clippers pick this year. So the Oklahoma City Thunder are now in the lottery. Incredible.
Warriors might be getting them in a couple days. You never know. Well,
yeah.
It would be Sunday. That'd be game 1.
Warriors OKC?
If they win, obviously, tomorrow.
Yeah, and I guess it's an afternoon. It would be an afternoon game.
Oh, God.
Too.
I mean, come on, man. All right, here we go.
I've been waiting. This is from the text line. I've been waiting all morning to hear Steiny tell everyone to chill out over one win. We've been way too happy. Bring us back to earth, please. Oh, no, it's not the day for that. No, today's the day to celebrate the win last night. We can talk about Phoenix tomorrow, but we got to talk about that game last night. And we always talk in the abstract about Curry and, why we wanted him back. And last night, answered all the questions of why a lot of people wanted Steph to come back and how much does that game make it worth it? You know what I mean? Did that one game kind of make it worth it for the 2 months before he came back? And was it worth it that he came back this year?
Well,
to me, the answer is yes.
Well, the reality is it doesn't matter what you or I think of whether or not it was worth it. It's clearly worth it to him.
Right.
I mean, that's why he wanted to come back. And that's why when he walked to the podium prior to his return against Houston, he said, I love playing basketball. And, is Curry going to have, some down games the rest of his career? Yeah, and he's getting a lot older. But you could feel the urgency in that game last night. Those guys, just look up and down the roster. Curry's 38 years old. Draymond's 36. Kerr doesn't have a contract next year. Horford is 50. I mean, these guys don't know how much basketball they have left to play in these sorts of games. There's a single elimination, NCAA bracket style, and for them to go into that game, win, advance. I mean, Curry's talking to Clippers fans on the sideline as he's falling into the crowd after hitting that 3. Draymond actually wasn't as demonstrative as I thought he would be during the game, but after the game, he was roaring. It felt like the champs were resuscitated. And again, it might just be for one night, But for them to go through everything they did this year with Jimmy Butler tearing his ACL, who was in the house, Moses, who rips his patella right before our eyes at the end of the year, that game was really important to these dudes, and they don't know how many of them they have left. You could feel how important that game was just because, and they'd kind of been talking about it, like their basketball mortality is right before them every single time they take the court. And I think the runner's knee, specific to Steph, really opened his eyes to how many more games do I get to play? How many more years do I have left? And last night, especially in that second half, you could sense that he was just enjoying doing what he does best, which is at times being the best player on the planet.
Absolutely terrific. He was 2 for 9 in the first half last night, 10 for 14 in the second half. And what if would you, do they have to win tomorrow to kind of make that game worth it?
No.
They don't?
No, they don't. And the reason why I would say, even though it sucks, like where are those stats going to go, Steiny?
I don't know.
They're just in a void.
I would encourage fans to print out the box score from last night's game right now
and frame it,
because they'll never be able to find it probably in about a week.
No, but that's the game that, again, depending on what happens at the end, the rest of Curry and Draymond and perhaps Kerr's career, like you never know how many more you're going to get. That might be the last big game they play in. I mean, I don't think it will be, but you never know. Father Time is undefeated. They might get hurt. Their play might slip. I just feel like each and every opportunity for these guys to take the floor together is one that you just got to sit back and be present for. I had a lot of friends last night who were obviously very excited, really happy about the win. And the first thing they're thinking is, well, we might be able to beat OKC. And it's like, that's not the point of the game. The point of the game is you got to witness, and you don't know how many more you're going to get to witness, something like you did with Curry owning the moment, taking center stage. By the way, in a game where there's another Hall of Fame top 75 player in it, and Draymond Green did his best to shut him down. If Kawhi Leonard doesn't score that meaningless bunny at the end of the game, you know how many points he would have had in the fourth quarter? Zero.
I agree with you.
Draymond Green shut Kawhi Leonard down, and that is not an easy thing to do, especially having seen that guy literally take a championship from the Warriors back in 2019.
Well, Evan, it's like my father used to say, God rest his soul. If you know you can take it from a guy, wait until it matters, then take it from a guy. And that's what Draymond did to Kawhi when he crossed him over on that last play.
See, but you know what's great about that is we didn't know if Draymond could still do that when he wanted to. I mean, you've been talking about it all year. His play's slipping. His defense isn't there.
Right, but we all know that he can rise. He's risen to the occasion. We mentioned the games against San Antonio. We mentioned that little run he had when he guarded Durant. He's absolutely capable of it. And again, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but, can they put together another one tomorrow night? They expended a lot of energy last night.
But that's what I'm saying, though, is I don't know if they can do it again tomorrow. Just like I didn't know if Draymond would be able to shut Kawhi Leonard down and hold him to 2 points in the fourth quarter last night. But he did it. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, what also is so special about a performance like last night is we did not know. I mean, do not sit up right here and act like you thought that they were just going to do that last night.
Who, the Warriors?
Yeah, they were down 13 in the fourth quarter, or in the second half. I think they're down 11 with like eight or nine left. For them to pull that game, to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, I don't want to sit up here and act like we saw it coming. We didn't. I thought the Warriors were going to lose last night. I'll be honest. And they proved me wrong. They proved a lot of people wrong. And that's why, again, I think that game is one to be appreciated because you didn't know if they could still do it, and they did.
They sure did. And no, I'm kind of with you. For three quarters, I thought the game was, okay, this is the way this one's going to go. This is the way this thing's going to end. And I don't know, something, and I know saying a team wanted it more is really kind of hackneyed, but I do think once the fourth quarter started that guys like Draymond and Steph were like, this could be the last game of the year. Let's go out and come back and win the game. And even when they were down, like, 8, 10, 11, I think. I don't know.
In the first 3 minutes when they went down 12-2?
Yeah. Did they ever go down 13, though, in the second half? I want to say 11 was the most. But they never panicked, though.
The most
even
they trailed by was 13.
Okay, 13. What was the score when it was 13? Do you know offhand? All right. Let's go to Brian in Palo Alto. Get us started here today. What's up, Brian? How you doing, man?
Hey guys, how you doing? I think last night was a stark reminder of why we should seek every ounce of the Steph Curry era for all it's worth. And I have no idea why there's so many people that seem to want to move on, including Steiny all the time. But I don't know why you want to move on. The reason they're 10 seeds is because Jimmy Butler and tore his ACL, right? The same way that. The Lakers are going to get bounced in the first round because Luka's out for the year, right? So, if you give this guy any help, no player has ever tilted the court like Steph Curry in the history of the game, ever. And he's still an incredible player, and they should aspire to give him absolutely as much help as possible to try to win a fifth title. And maybe they don't, but, it's a worthy pursuit. And why on earth they'd want to move on? And Steiny wants to move on all the time. That's all they talk about is...
Why would you say that?
What's that?
Why would you say I want to move on from Steph? I was actually on
yes. You talk about it all the time.
Yeah, you got to find out. Yeah, you got to find out at the end of the year what Steph wants to do, and then when Steph tells you what he wants to do, then you proceed. If Steph wants to stay here, then he's going to stay here. But if Steph is open to being moved because he's not happy here, then you got to think about that too.
Of course. Of course he wants to stay here, and that's okay. No one's buying that trope. Okay, so
okay.
And so I think you try to get everything you can out of it because he's the greatest player I've ever seen play the game. I've never seen a player, like I said, tilt the court in the way that Steph Curry does. It's incredible, and they should aspire to give him as much help as possible. And to handicap Steph and his contributions or his impact or his value because Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. That's why we want to tear it down, or for whatever reason, I think it's insane. We should aspire to get every ounce.
Which they've been doing, right? Haven't they been doing that for the last 4 years?
Sure. Yeah. I think once they did the Jimmy deal, right? I think that was sort of up from 2019 to 2022, 23. No, I don't think they did their absolute best to do it, and nobody does. But so anyways, that's my take. Can we just retire let's move on,
yeah, we'll see.
What's next is not good. So let's enjoy the good. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the call.
It's kind of weird when he's positive.
No, look, Steph was great last night. And, it's a matter to me of how many moments are going to be enough for the fan base over the, next couple years.
Yeah.
And how many of those games can he provide the fans with?
Well, and the reality was he couldn't provide them with moments because he wasn't on the court last couple of months. But that's why, to me, it's, and I realized they didn't really have a choice, right? They were never going to get lower than 10th. Draymond said it himself. They could have lost 15 games in a row. They wouldn't have been able to get below into, the 11th spot. This was a team that did have, what was the stat you guys threw out yesterday? They had a worse record than the Kings after the All-Star break?
I guess so,
or something like that. I'm not sure, but if that's true, there's a lot of losses on the Warriors' resume. I think it did make the last couple of months worth it. And look, again, they could lose tomorrow and dip back into the lottery, and all the people that are saying, you shouldn't have brought Steph back in the first place will get their cake and eat it too. But the fact is, they gave us a moment last night. They gave us a game last night, and there have not been a ton of those this season. When you and Goo were talking, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, best moments from the year. I honestly had to go back to November. To me, the two best moments are kind of the best feeling that I had watching this team this season were those back-to-back wins in San Antonio. When, I think it was November 14th. There has not been a day in 2026 before last night that made me feel great about watching the Golden State Warriors. And it was largely because Curry wasn't there. But what Curry did last night, and I don't want to make some sweeping conclusion about what this means for the franchise and what they do moving forward. But to me, it's just about being present in what happened, because the reality is the reason why that game was so special is because of how old they are and how few games they've been able to deliver together because of injury, because of slippage, because of all these different factors. And that's why at the end of last night, Kerr is talking about how that game made him feel, it sounded like damn near a finals victory. You know, Curry's screaming like he used to do in the playoffs. And it's because they don't know how many of those they have left. And so to me, it's not a reason to just go all the way in because they won a 9-10 play-in game. But that also doesn't mean that you shouldn't appreciate what you saw last night.
Absolutely. This is what you're talking about. Steve Kerr talking about that game last night.
The fact that we're still alive, you know, we've got to go to Phoenix now and try to get another one and get ourselves in the playoffs. But I more than anything, I'm just so proud of the guy. We must have been down double figures 5-6 separate times, and we came back every single time we made a run. It was such an incredible display of guts and competitiveness and connection, and obviously Steph and Dre kind of took over down the stretch.
All right, and here's more Steve Kerr.
For one night, we're champions again, you know, and I know that may sound crazy to everybody out there. It's a play-in game. I don't care. It's just absolutely beautiful to watch.
All righty. There it is. Steve Kerr. Do you have a problem with them saying we're champions again? I wonder if Goo would.
I don't. Because he's been a part of 9. And last night they were celebrating like they won a championship. And that might piss a lot of people off or make them wonder, hey, what are we really playing for here? But I'm sorry, like those guys, they get to determine how they finish this season. And I am damn glad that Curry came back so that they get to be the ones that dictate how it goes. Not Father Time, not random happenstance, not an injury, but Curry, Draymond, Porzingis, Horford, Pods, Santos, Melton, GP2, everyone that played in that game last night got to determine how their season was going to come to a close. And the reality is they'll get to do it again on Friday. But I'm just glad that they're the ones that get to decide it. That basketball is one that is the thing that determines how this season ends. Because for so much of this year, it hasn't been about basketball. It's been about who can stay healthy, who can be on the floor, load managing. The last home game of the season, fans didn't even get to see Curry. And I was doing postgame, and there were people calling in pissed off that they saved him for a sack game, that then they blew the next night in Sacramento. Does it make it all worth it? It certainly sounded like it did to them last night.
Yeah, and last night to me, you know, showed a little bit of their conundrum too. Like everybody knows that they're capable of beating good teams. It's just how often can they beat them? And look, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Porzingis, and Horford, they're all veterans. They're all NBA champions. And like, they're not going to be easy to beat because of their experience. But the question then becomes, what's going to happen tomorrow? You know, Steph played 36 minutes last night. How is he going to bounce back? You know, is Draymond going to have the energy?
Porzingis was limping after the game.
And Draymond got hurt, I thought, a little bit late, didn't he? I thought he got... Something happened to Draymond late, too, I thought. But, yeah, the question is, you know, how many of these do they have? How many of these do they have left this year? They're going to need one more for sure to get in tomorrow night. But let's go to Leroy in Oakland. Hey, Leroy, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Steiny?
Hey.
What's up, Evan?
Yo.
Oh, my God, man. Evan, real quick. I'll try to be quick. Evan, you know what? The Warriors do have to get that game against Phoenix to solidify what they did yesterday. And I rarely go against you, Evan, but I think that it'll solidify it because they're just a better team than Phoenix. They're a better team than Phoenix. Come on. You got to give that up. They're a better team than Phoenix. So that's why they should beat them, and it'll make that count yesterday. Steiny, you said something yesterday that, everybody overlooked, but I didn't. I caught it. You said the Warriors are going to run 4 all-stars out there. And that got me pumped a little bit. Like, wow, that's 4 all-stars out on the court together. The IQ, the experience. And what I was proud of yesterday was the veterans were the ones that came through. Those were the guys that came through. And they've been much maligned, and people been saying this and that. But it was the veterans. It was the champions that came through. Also, Steiny, Evan, I want to give some love to Guy Santos and Porzingis, and not for their scoring. Because when I texted yesterday, I was like, look, I need 6 assists from Al Horford, right? He didn't do that, but Guy Santos had 5. Porzingis had 5. And when the Warriors are great and when they're at their most dynamic, it's their bigs that are passing the rock. I remember Bogut. I remember David West. I remember the other kid I can't think about. But when we were good, it was guys making the transition from, hey, I'm not going to score, but I'm going to set screens, I'm going to do the dirty work, and I'm going to pass the rock. So those 10 assists from Porzingis and Santos was big. So I just wanted to give them some love too, guys.
Appreciate it, Leroy.
Last night, and I think
he said, I think we can beat Phoenix.
team than them, Evan.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, I got you, Leroy. That's fair. Yeah, I didn't think about it from that standpoint. If you believe the Warriors are a better team than Phoenix, I guess
this team's got a chance to be better than Phoenix. Like the team the team that they threw out there last night was the best team they've thrown out there in the last couple months, obviously, right?
Yeah,
since Butler got hurt.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and it was the first time we saw them all together. I was, but and this is the thing. One of the reasons I didn't feel great about last night is I thought that it would take a little time for them to look like a team. For them to come together. And I guess you could make the argument it did. I mean, it's kind of interesting that I felt like, and I don't know how you did, I know we got to hit a break here, but in the first half, I actually felt like it was kind of the guys that had been playing the last 2 months that kept them afloat. It was the Santoses, it was the Podses. Melton didn't do it a lot with his scoring. GP2 didn't do a lot with his scoring, but I felt like it was those guys that kept them in the game so that they weren't down by 15 or 20, so that when they got to the second half, they were within striking distance and their champions could take them home.
Yeah, and that's why, to me, even when they got down 11 or 13 at the beginning of the fourth quarter, again, when you're playing Curry, Green, Porzingis, and Horford, they have an understanding that 13 points is something you can overcome. And it can happen pretty quickly, and that's exactly what happened last night.